I cried, writing down an idea I had zero evidence I could actually pull off. No portfolio, no acceptance letter, no formal training in fashion illustration. Never touched a sewing machine in my life. I was 23, working as a personal banker in Los Gatos, and I still set one condition out loud for a career I hadn't started yet. If you've got an idea you've been fully prepared for a long time, and you're still waiting for something to feel more certain before you commit, stay with me. Because I'm going to show you 3 rules that actually turn planning into a decision. Here's exactly how it happened. I'd been sketching since I was a kid. Cars, homes, even runway models at 16. Years before I ever called it fashion design. The pull was already there. I just hadn't let myself name it. Then one evening in 2003, it got loud enough. I told God I wouldn't do it unless I got into the best school in the country. Parsons or nothing. I wrote that sentence down, and that's when the tears came. The good kind, like a weight that I didn't know I was carrying, actually came off my back. Nothing had changed on paper. I hadn't done anything yet. I just decided. I told almost no one, not my parents, not until I flew to New York for the interview. One close friend knew it, and that was it. Quiet, completely real. I interviewed that October, accepted months later, and I applied for the spring. And act fast was the motto. I moved across the country on January 15th, 2005 to a city I barely knew to learn a craft I'd only practiced instinctively. The plan came after. The decision came first. And it created the plan, not the other way around. I spent over 20 years building across design, performance, and creative direction. From that decision through a decade at a major fashion house to a parallel career built inside a full professional life. Before we get into it, ATP Field Notes, articles I write, drop every Tuesday. They're free, they're weekly. One idea for building something that's yours without blowing up the life you've already built. And the link is in the description. Now, the 3 rules that turn planning into a decision. The first rule is the shape the decision has to take. Binary beats vague. There is a specific difference between I'm thinking about building this and I'm building this. This isn't wordplay. One is a posture of consideration. The other is a posture of commitment. A real decision is binary, in or out, not leaning toward, not seriously considering. So here's the test. Say your idea out loud right now and finish this sentence. I am building blank. Present tense. If what came out was a dodge instead of a statement, you haven't decided yet. You've been thinking very seriously about deciding. Different thing. I know the difference because I felt both. For years, there's a version of you circling an idea, thoughtful about it, thorough about it, and still hasn't said the sentence. Then there's a version who has. Nothing external changes the moment you say it. What changes is what you say yes and no to next. The second rule reverses the order almost everyone assumes. The decision comes first. Most people think clarity has to come before the decision. That once it feels clear enough, then they'll commit. It's backwards. The decision is usually what produces the clarity, not the other way around. So here's the test. Name the one thing you're waiting to feel certain about before you start. Now ask, is there any real chance you get that certainty without deciding first? Usually, the honest answer is no. Here's a finding that reverses the common assumption. Most of us think the order is get clear first, then commit. A 2026 study published in the Annual Review of Organizational Psychology and Organizational Behavior found it works the other way. Commitment produces the clarity, not the reverse. So if you've been waiting to feel sure you start the idea you keep circling back to, here's the honest math. That certainty isn't arriving first. So ask yourself, What decision today would instantly give you the clarity you've been waiting for? That's the order the Parsons decision actually followed. Whether I could have named it that way or not at 23, I hadn't trained a day in fashion. Didn't know one person in the industry. None of that was available to know yet. It only became available because I'd already decided. The commitment came after. It always does. The third rule isn't about how to decide. It's about what not deciding is already costing you. Every year, an idea sits in the planning stage, has a cost, and it's silent because nothing visibly goes wrong. No crisis, no loss you can point to, just a year where the skill doesn't get built, the thing didn't get made, the audience didn't get started. Here's a test. How many years has a specific idea been sitting? Say the actual number out loud. Now name one concrete thing that would already exist if you made the decision back then. That gap is the part nobody counts. 18 months after I moved, I had my first job in the industry. If I'd waited even one more year for the conditions to feel more certain, that 18 months doesn't start when it started. It starts whenever I finally decided. The plan doesn't shrink the cost of waiting. Only the decision does. So here's the one move this week. Open a document, not a note in your head, and write one sentence. First person, present tense. I am building blank. Then set one condition out loud the way I set mine. If X, I go, with an actual date attached. The plan comes after. It always does. If you've been fully prepared and still haven't started the decision, that's what a clarity call is for. It's free, it's 45 minutes. You leave with one clear next step. The link is in the description. If this was useful, please subscribe and like this video. It helps me a lot. A new video drops every week. And if someone you know needs to hear this, send it their way. The right video at the right moment changes things. One last thought. I didn't know how to do any of it. I didn't know how any of it would go. I knew what I decided. You've been ready longer than you're telling yourself. State the decision. Let the plan catch up to it the way it always does.